Well, this weekend we're sharing some of our favorites from that Red, White, and Boom special, especially those that honor our veterans.
And there are just so many wonderful stories about people who have sacrificed and given so much to us. Now, this next story shows how one man continued his mission to serve and protect even after he left the armed services. Ellie Merritt tells his story.
On his riding lawnmower in southern Franklin County, Gary Bird wouldn't miss this for the world.
I can't leave him. I wear this hat with pride.
A proud U.S. Marine Corps veteran. In 1969, the draft came calling.
At processing, they said, "Do you really want to go in the Army?" And I said, "No, I want to be a Marine." So I went into Marines.
Like thousands of young American men, just boys, really, Gary headed to San Diego.
I was a radio humper and a machine gunner, and I really didn't want to go. Didn't think I would survive.
Go to Vietnam, a raging, bitter war, and a divisive time for our country. Billions spent on a war nobody wanted. More than 58,000 U.S. soldiers died in Vietnam, and those who survived often came home to pure hatred. No welcome home, no thank you for your service. But Gary wouldn't be one of them.
I had my orders for Vietnam, but 2 weeks before I was to ship, they started de-escalation of the war, President Nixon.
He missed the war, or the war missed him. Either way, Gary knew the fate he had escaped.
Your life expectancy in combat as a machine gunner radio operator was 38 seconds. When I came back, I was driving down the road and I saw a military funeral in northern Illinois, and I pulled off the road and stood there and cried. Just knowing that it could have been me.
That military funeral brings Gary to this spot, in place and time, now 71 years old, at the Union Grove Cemetery.
And I drive by this cemetery on Gender Road quite often, and I noticed grass was about 18 inches tall.
He didn't like that at all. And when he saw more than 500 military graves,
I said, we need to bring honor back to the people who have honored us. And I live by a model that says it's much easier to ask for forgiveness than it is to get permission. And so I mowed it.
He doesn't have to, and it's not easy. 8 acres, a full day's work and then some. 4 years ago, Gary had a stroke. He walks now with a cane, and it's not easy to get off and on the mower, but it doesn't stop him.
Do you come stop by and see your friends?
Yeah. First time I ever come mowing around here, I stopped and there was his grave.
You didn't know it was here?
I had no idea.
His friend, James Gordon, fondly known as Flash, an Air Force veteran. Sometimes families come by, and Gary can't help but to give them a little peace.
I promised her grave would never be neglected. As long as I'm able, it will not.
These Marines' hands that once prepared for war, now almost 50 years later, serve and protect the resting place for hundreds of U.S. military veterans.
You know, I have all kinds of goofy sayings like, I'd rather be mowing the grass than be underneath of it pushing it. I'd rather be viewing than to be viewed. I like to mow the grass because I can. And I've never found my grave or my tombstone over there, so I'm going to keep mowing and keep looking.
The flags, the reminders that we owe so much to so many for our freedom.
It's emotional. It's very emotional. Freedom is not free. Somebody paid for it.
And that is what Gary protects.
No words.
I cannot believe some of the things that these people who have served have had to go through. Right. And Mr. Bird is right, you know, freedom isn't free. And just to hear what he says, and now all these years later, he's out there on that mower, 8 acres,
all
a
by
day's
himself.
work and then some.
And to feel that it is their duty to continue to serve their community. It's just amazing.
And just how much he cares, you know, telling that one family, you know, as long as I'm around, this grave is going to be looking nice.
Thank you to him, and thank you to Ellie for that beautiful story.
It's just a great story.
Awesome.
And so appropriate this weekend, too.